Hey YouTube, I am live. Someone brought up a good idea to do, bring up the Cpap machine. Why not? What else do you expect from the Snorlord channel? Hey Pale Rider. How's it going, sir? I'm gonna open my tablet up so I can see the comments better. Hey Yukon. How's it going? Hopefully we won't have any issues here. Let's see, my channel. Bear with me a second, please. There we go. There I am. Bear with me a second, please. Turn me down so I'm not that guy. Hey, Steve, what's up? So, I'll put this here. I'll put it right here. So, those of you who don't know, oh hey Dooner, yeah, the way you can tell he has sleep apnea is if you actually stop breathing. There's a difference between that and snoring. Hey Mike, I told you I'd do a live video about Cpap. This is my Cpap machine, okay? This is the humidifier. You fill this up with water, you put it in here, plug-in is right here, and then the hose goes in there. I don't have my hose hooked up, obviously. These are about 90 watts, so if you don't have an APU, you can use a just a small 150 watt inverter, and it'll power it without draining your batteries, unless you got really bad batteries in the truck. Here's the filter and here's the SD card. Now, the cool thing about this brand, ResMed, is that you register the machine. Oh, okay. Mike Mentor says that's smaller than mine. Crete has me using the Philips Stream Station. Yeah, I believe I had a Philips the last time and it died. I don't know if it was the bad inverter I was using or what. Hey, stretch nuts. So you can either, so when you get a, Stretch Nuts says, what's up, Steve? John Capone, what's up, Snorlord? How's it going, you guys? When you get a Cpap machine, you're only going to get a 1-year card, okay? There's no way around that. And when you can, there's two ways of doing it. The ResMeds you can register online, and then it'll give you reports. There's a Bluetooth device on the ResMed, and that Bluetooth device reports whether you got service or not. It reports to the website, and then you get a report that way. The clinic or whatever you got your machine from, they could do a printout from that report, or you could take your card to them and they can print it out. I have sleep apnea, and after I started using my Cpap, I feel 100% better. Yes. You know, here's the thing with my history. I've always had sleep apnea. When I was young and thin, I had sleep apnea. Sleepovers were a nightmare. And like I went to summer camp once, and it was hell. So you gotta love these trucks that pull them forward, right? And what happens is, those of you who don't know what sleep apnea is, what it is your body you start choking in your sleep, literally. And what happens is your body wakes up just enough to open the airway, and that's that rushing of air. That's the snore, And when that happens so many times a night, your oxygen levels decrease, and then you start, it's bad on your health, it's bad on your memory, And you're not getting quality, deep sleep, REM sleep. And that's the kind of sleep you need. So basically, if you have sleep apnea, it's like someone waking you up every so often throughout the whole night. That's what it is. That's exactly what it is. And so you never get good quality sleep, and after so much time, it diminishes your health. So what the CPAP machine does is it forces air. Stretch Nut says that your energy level goes up. Yep, definitely. I used to wake up, Mike says I used to wake up in the house when sleeping. The missus said I used to sound like I was choking while sleeping or grasping for air. Yep. You know, no, I'm not in Dallas anymore. UC 95. So the first time I had a sleep study, it was way before I was a truck driver. It was back in the late 90s. And they said I woke up 59 times out of an hour. So like once a minute, I was literally waking up. Driving, sitting, watching a movie. You know, you fall asleep during anything. You know, I have fallen asleep at rock concerts, if you can believe that. You know, a lot of it's because the band sucks. But, you know, it happens, right? So the CPAP forces air, and it's either a full face or a nose mask. And what happens is it forces air so that throat never closes, and then you don't have to wake up. Do I have a problem with the hose kinking? Asks Johnson. No. The hose that I have is pretty long, and they're pretty durable. It's a heated tube, so it's flexible, but it's not like collapsible unless I sit on it. But I've never had that problem. Now, Stretch Nut says it takes a little bit to get used to the machine. That is true. So after my first sleep study, they said, wow, you know, I was in my 30s, and they were like, oh wow, I've never seen a guy your age with this degree of sleep apnea, and they called it impressive. And so they put me on this machine, and I tell you what, I haven't slept like that ever. It was just like, it was so, man, it was amazing. So my nose had to be clear, and after about a few nights of sleep, I couldn't get to sleep because I was so well rested. And then, so the doctor prescribed me, well, Claritin for allergies. Well, Claritin is like meth, you know, so now I'm taking this medication that keeps me awake, and I was getting the best sleep of my life. Let's see, why is the test determine whether you have sleep apnea cost so much for someone watching you sleep? $2,500 around here. That is a good question, because this is going to freak you guys out, okay? It's going to make some of you mad. My sleep study, my second one that I did, the first one I did that I just told you about was like, it was all insurance covered, okay? The second one, the test was $750, and the machine was $750. Hey, Ira. And I lucked out because I talked to a Landstar buddy that his whole thing was like $5,000, you know. And someone mentioned Crete. I have heard rumors that Crete and one of the local sleep clinics, or a sleep clinic, is in cahoots with each other so they can make some money. But one of the best programs I've heard about is Martin. Martin you for free, and they'll give you the machine for free. That I've heard. Now they may have changed it, but they'd rather pay for everything and have their drivers be honest than have a lawsuit with someone falling asleep at the wheel. So Trucker Steve in PA says, I use Afrin nasal spray to keep nose clear. that wasn't enough for me. So eventually what I did is I had a surgery where they opened my nasal passages and they opened up my throat. They took my tonsils out, they took my uvula out, and you know, and I'll get to you in a second, UC95, and that helped quite a bit. Then I became a truck driver, and then my weight skyrocketed, and I was back to square one. So I went and got my sleep study on my own accord, because I saw the writings on the wall, and you know, and then back then, all they offered was the nose mask, and that just wasn't doing it. You know, wake up with these dry sinuses. But the face mask, however, I love the face mask. A lot of people don't like it. I love the face mask. UC95 says you can drop weight out here, Snorlaur. It just takes work. You're right. I'm cooking food right now in the truck. If I eat in the truck like I do at home, I'll lose weight. If I'm home for more than 4 or 5 days, I always lose weight. So I'm trying not to eat out here. So weight doesn't mean you have sleep apnea. My wife's stepdad has it, and he's 170 pounds. Correct. I haven't been heavy most of my life. You know, it wasn't until the last 10 years that it was really bad. And like I said, I grew up average. Hell, a little kid, I was skinny. And, you know, throughout high school, I was average. You know, I wasn't overweight. I was very active. I was a BMX freestyler. I was one of those guys. Rode my bike everywhere. I didn't get my license until I was almost 18. And my sleep apnea got worse as I gained weight. Exactly. When you get allergies, the nose only mask doesn't do anything. Mike Mentor, I like full mask also. I keep ripping cushions though when I sleep. Yeah, you're gonna go through like one a month, and my insurance will pay for one a month. And a lot of people think that with the beard you can't have one, but I've got it placed to where it comes up to here, and it seals pretty good. But even with a light seal issue, that's better than nothing. Groundhog's in here. The mask can be cool. Top Gun, hello. Yeah, Top Gun. I get it. The Steve Burger, no more ramen noodles. Exactly. That's all carbs. That stuff's bad for you. UC95, I eat spinach and some other veggies and make a drink out of them. It tastes exactly how it looks, green. UC95, a couple of years ago, I went on a juice fast, and I brought in a vegetable juicer in the truck, and it was inspired by the movie Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead. I lost 60 pounds in 60 days. It was awesome. You're basically freebasing Mother Nature. And I had a 660 at the time, and it was kind of cramped. And but I made it work. You know, I had vegetables everywhere in the truck. And I ran into a guy at one of the Schneider OCs that was doing that, and he gave me some tips. So I'm thinking about going back to that. But you know, there's a mental part to dieting as well, and I got to get there. I'm almost there because I'm just literally sick of myself, and I'm starting to enjoy things less because of my weight. StretchNet says I have just the nose hookup. I hate the face mask. Yeah, it's a you know, whatever you prefer. Stretch nuts and noodles are low with sodium. Yep. UC95. I ain't all about buckets and prostitutes. Well, good, man. Good. Glad to have a good conversation with you. I think I'm caught up on the questions. But yeah, you're gonna, if you get determined to have sleep apnea, then you're gonna have a 1-year card, and they're gonna want to either read the card, which they'll charge extra for, or you can give them a printout, or you can go to the website and print it out yourself. What I do is the clinic does, they fax the information from the website to the clinic of where I'm at. Butch asks, Do you use a direct to battery hookup, or do you use a 110 volt hookup? Right now I use my APU. In the Peterbilt, when the APU wasn't working, I had a small 150 watt inverter, and without using an APU, and the batteries lasted. However, the kind of inverter might not be healthy on the power, and I've already gone through one Cpap. Mike Mentor says, thank you for the information. You're welcome. Juan says, what's up, brother? How do they treat you out here? I'm doing all right. There's a rumor out there that I'm leaving Schneider. That is not true. It was said in a joke in Periscope, thanks to Mr. Like there, and then also it was joked about on one of his live vids. So I've got nothing against Traveloco. They seem like a good option, but right now I'm doing okay here. I know Ike Stevens just uploaded a video comparing Traveloco with Schneider, and even though I haven't watched yet, I know what the results are going to be because he's running the spot market and he has total control of what brokers and everything he can use. So he should be doing pretty good. Juan says, I'll go to Traveloco with you. There are quite a few Schneider ICs that have gone over there. I've also seen Schneider ICs with Schneider Finance trucks go over to Landstar. John and I went out and got dinner the other day. We were at the OC in Dallas. We parked next to one. UC 95. Now back to reality. I'm at the Flying J by Schneider. Any hot babes around here? Nope. There's probably a few crack whores though. Butch Thompson. They make a cord where you can run it off a 12 volt socket instead of having to run off inverter 110. Some of the Cpaps can't use it, but most can. Yeah, a friend of mine has one of those, and I'll have to look online to see what they are. UC 95, later Snowler, about to meet a whole Mexican taco from the Flying J. Well, good luck with that. Taco pizza. Everyone has their own results with certain companies. Where I'm at, there are a few Schneider guys. Butch says, I've actually used mine on a jump box. Yeah, they don't take a whole lot of power. I think, like I said, they're only 80-90 watts. I do have a small 150 watt inverter. I think I've said that plugs in 12 volt. That's worked, but I prefer having the APU on, especially this time of year. I'm using the AC, but there's been a couple of nights where I've used the inverter when the temperature's been perfect, so I don't have to run the APU. I've seen a couple of times out here, Steve. I'll say hello one of these times. I run a by 44 now, 69 going to Dallas. Yeah, I'm on that road all the time. I call US 69 in Oklahoma the speed bump of many miles. That's what I call that road. If I'm going to Sanger or Fort Worth, I don't touch 69. If I'm going to east side of Dallas, then I'll use 69. The mileage difference from Sanger to Springfield, Missouri, using 69 only shaves off 11 minutes, and it's 35 miles less. So I'd rather run the extra 11 minutes and the extra 35 miles if you go up 35 to 44, because there's no stoplights, no stop. You know, it's 70 all the way, 75 actually. The stretch nuts. I drive for Woody Bogler. Okay, I see those trucks all the time. I think I got a buddy of mine that just started there. You're not him, are you? What do you think about Crete's owner-operator flat rate? I'm here right now as a company driver. I keep everyone talk bad about it though because the rate they pay. Mike, it's not that Crete's a bad company because they got a huge freight base, but mileage rate just means you're going to work harder for your miles. In other words, if you're always at $1.10 a mile, it's always $1.10 a mile. Now, the advantage of that is that you get paid deadhead miles, which is good. I don't get paid deadhead miles, but I pick a load that pays on the percentage side that makes the deadhead miles worth it. The only thing that I would avoid The only aspect of Creek's program I would avoid is that you have a dispatcher. If you're gonna own a truck, if you're gonna make a truck payment, I don't care if it's lease, buy, any of it, don't have a dispatcher. Self-dispatch is the way to go. I don't care who you are. You know that's just what it is. It's like I said in my last live feed. If you own a restaurant, you got some guy out front that's only going to let in 100 people that day or let in 200 people this day, and you're not in control of your business. That dispatcher who gets like what, 10, 11 bucks an hour, you know, who doesn't have a high truck payment, he doesn't care. He goes home at 5 or 6 p.m. He's in control of your business, not you. Yep, Russ Maynard says control your own revenue. That's how you do it. LOL, no, I drive a black 579. Can you run your Cpap humidifier off your inverter? The humidifier is connected to it, so it's all one thing. But yeah, you have to have an inverter of 100 watts or higher, then you can run it. Yeah, Clyde says that's the truth. I couldn't stand to be dispatched by someone else. Notice I'm doing this better. I'm not like squinting at the screen. I realized I did that in my parody. So I'm reading it off the tablet here. Clyde, you're right. I was talking to somebody today, and I was like, you know, I don't think I could ever go back to being a dispatcher ever. You know, I was talking to a friend of mine who's at Transland. I got him on there, and he's telling me the runs. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that run. I remember that I had to wait before I go to a truck stop because I didn't know what my next dispatch was, blah blah blah, you know, all this stuff. And it just, stress started building in me, you know. And there's like, here's a perfect example. When you self-dispatch, there's a customer I delivered to one time in Missouri, out in the sticks, and they even had a town ordinance that did not let you park even on their lot overnight. So once you're unloaded, you had to go. The nearest truck stop was Sullivan, Missouri, I-44, that was 15 miles away, or the closest truck stop on I-55 was like 16 miles away. So one was north, one was south. And so I called my dispatcher, and I was like, hey, where am I going next? I don't know. Well, you need to find out, because I'm leaving, and I doubt you don't want me to go 20 miles out of route. Well, you know, we'll do what we can. Well, okay, so an hour later, I'm like, okay, I'm empty. Where am I going? Well, I don't know, north or south. You got to make a decision, because I'm going. Just go south. And of course, halfway there, I get my load assignment, and it was the right decision, but it shouldn't get to that. When you self-dispatch, you can go, okay, I'm going to have my next load booked, or am I at least going to go, or I could at least go north to 44, where I might find more freight if I don't have anything booked yet, versus south on 55. StretchNut says I run mine off a factory inverter. I don't have an inverter in this truck. The inverter on the Peterbilt almost burned my truck down. The carrier is set up where you don't need an inverter, although it does need to be on to use the power. But I do have a small, tiny inverter. If it burns up, it's not a big deal. Steve, have you ever been to the Dough Run Company in Boston, Missouri? That's the sticks. I hate going there. That might be what I'm talking about. It's been a while. It's been like 4 or 5 years since I've been wherever I was at. I do know that I was on a stretch of road that was barely wide enough for my truck, and it was the way to go. It was the company directions. And I remember there was a flip over accident that took over the whole road, and I was like delayed for like an hour. Oh, Boston, Missouri. I know what you're talking about. We have a customer there, I believe, and yeah, I've avoided that run. And then there's one in Mata, Missouri, M-A-T-A, and I've had to drop my trailer there, and man, there's no way I'd want to come out of there loaded. It's where they recycle batteries. Yes, I've been there. It was years and years ago. You know, but see, that's the thing about self-dispatch, is you don't have to do the runs that you don't want to do. And you know, And if you do it, you do it for the right money, you know. Like if you do if you work off broker boards or the Landstar load board and you see a run, you're like, hey, you know, like Bronx, you know, if you know, I never go to Bronx, but you know, for $3 a mile for 2,000 miles, I'll do it, you know. Then it's worth your time and money, you know. Plus, if you're out for the weekend, you're making yourself more money versus, you know, making the owner of whatever said company, you know, while he's sitting in his pool, you know, sipping cocktails, you know, on the weekend, and you're working your ass off, and it's only benefiting him and not you. Down Country Road YY, yeah, I think I've been down there. Yeah, crappy customers too, like, you know, what Jeff dealt with the water place he went to. There's been a few places that I've done that, and I learned to recognize it on our load board, and I won't do it again. You know, that's the thing. You do it once, you hate it, don't ever do it again, you know. But I thought I'd do a question and answer on the Cpap machine because I get a lot of questions, and that's where the Snorlord comes from. I like the thought of the freedom you get from becoming an owner-operator. Yes, Mike, you're absolutely right. So with Snyder, you get the benefits of a mega carrier, but you get to choose and pick your own loads. The SFI, Snyder Finance payments are kind of high, but you can still make money here, even with those high payments. Steve Berger is a perfect example of that. You know, he supported a family, and, you know, I think he was never out more than 3 weeks at a time, and, you know, he did it all with the Snyder Finance truck. You know, Ike Stevens, he had a Snyder Finance truck, and he found freight that got him home almost every night, most of the time. So it could be done. Depends on where you live. If you live in Phoenix, good luck, you know. I have an almost 1-year-old and would like more home time if possible. See, that's why you want to be in control, man. You know, that's one of the things. When I drove for Transland, I was good with my dispatcher. I worked hard when I needed to. And I told them, I will run as hard as you need me to, as long as I get home on the times that I request off. And if I needed in on a Friday for a gig or a family event or something, I would say I need home by Thursday afternoon or Thursday noon. And that way I gave myself this cushion. And Transland never had me out more than 3 weeks at a time. And what a live video subject I'll do in the future is, there's a mental aspect of driving out here. There's a mental aspect, if you're a family guy, of doing this job. And I used to have to train my trainees, prepare them mentally, because things change. I was home every week for my 34-hour restart, and if you live in Phoenix, you can be home daily or for 2 days a week. That's Ira. Ira was a Snyder IC. I'm not sure why he's not anymore. But my experience is, Phoenix, you got to be kind of on the load board. You got to have an extra set of eyes to kind of grab those loads. You'll average about 1,100 a week. So there you go. I think Snyder's got a new terminal down there. And I got a friend from Missouri that runs that area all the time. But his wife's looking for freight coming out of Phoenix, and that's the kicker. Is finding those loads if you live east of Arizona. So yeah, that's the thing. You know, with my low truck payment, I don't have to be on it as much, so there's room for error, and there's also room to kind of be a little bit choosier. And you know, if I miss a day of revenue, it's not a huge deal. So Mike, look into the Snyder program. If you want if you want a one-on-one talk, email me. You know, StevenAllington@gmail.com, and I'll get to you as soon as I can. I've got this new phone that allows me to get new email alerts, whereas my old phone didn't. So I wouldn't check my email for 4 or 5 days, and I have all these messages. So, you know, Calvary says, do you have to drive company before going IC? No, unless you're getting your CDL. If you get your CDL through Schneider, then yeah, you have to have some company time. But if you've already been driving and you work for someone else, no, you don't have to. I was never a company Schneider driver. And I don't think I could be a company driver for a mega carrier. John Citrone, hey Snorler, what's up? Yeah, it's funny. John's the one I made the video with the other day, and Jeff's all like, "Oh, you look scared." No, it was just kind of funny because to see the red airline stretched out like a rubber band and then snap, man, that was kind of funny. So yeah, it was kind of a unique situation. Mike says, thanks, will do. I have a good amount of saved up for my truck when I get ready. Still have time though in my first year still. Yeah, you want to definitely put some experience under your belt, because you got to understand how freight works, how the industry works. You want to have a better understanding of that 90% of the problems out here are not the carrier's fault, and a lot of people blame the carrier for everything. And that's just the nature of the beast. That's just the nature of this business. And my tablet's dying here, so let's plug it in. Bad part about Phoenix, Ira says, is that I've heard they take tractor supply off the low board, but don't quote me on that. For some people they did, because there were ICs that were, sorry, my APU just made a funny noise. ICs were being laid on it, so I haven't talked to my friend in a while, but last I heard he was still doing them. That's my Periscope going off. I haven't been on Periscope that much because, I don't know, just kind of lost interest in it. I've taken myself off Zello. I know Jeffrey was pushing a new Zello group. I'm sure it's a great group, but I've given up on Zello. Let's see. I think that they might have taken them off certain. Now, I know there are other TS customers, Ira, that they have taken it off our board. It's only going to company drivers. And that's the other thing. Everybody's like, oh, well, you know, Schneider, they're going to give some of those loads to company guys. Again, that's the nature of the beast. That's just how it is out here. It happens. It happens with any company that has company and owner-operators. Landstar happens. Well, wait a minute, Steve. Landstar doesn't have company drivers. Yes, they do. They're not called company drivers. They drive for the agents. You'll have a multi-million-dollar agent which will own 10 to 20 to 30 trucks. And then they get the freight. They get the dedicated freight. And so what happens is those loads never hit the board, and those drivers get first dibs on those loads. If they can't fill, if all 30 of their trucks can't do it, then that's when they go on the load board. Ira says there's a lot of loops in the West that you can make good money. You just got to learn the board in the West and when those loads hit. That's true. That's the way with it is with anywhere. But I do know guys that make good money and they never go east of Albuquerque. So, but they live out there. I think Russ Maynard's in here. He lives out there in California, and he's doing all right. The board, you just can't be afraid to deadhead at times too. I come from Landstar, man. Deadhead is my middle name, man. I don't mind deadhead if the negative aspects of deadhead, of course, the fuel, but you're getting like 10 miles to the gallon empty most of the time. But the other disadvantage is the time. So if you have to do a 200-mile deadhead, that's 3.5 hours that you could be rolling with money. But yeah, that's the only way to be an owner operator is by being in control. That's it. You know, I have friends that drive for other mega carriers that get dispatched, and they either never see the house. They're making great money, but they never see the house. And you want to work for a company that pays you percentage. You know, some loads pay $1 a mile, some loads might pay $2 a mile, some loads might pay $3 a mile. So it just depends on how and what you find. So, but for those of you who are afraid of the sleep apnea test, the best way to do it is to find a clinic with the cheapest amount and pay cash with it, or make sure your insurance pays for it. Some companies will charge you, like for example, I heard a rumor. Mark State talked about this, but Prime, they make you take the test and you have to buy their machine from their doctor, and then they charge you by the month on monitoring it, okay? And I think Schneider kind of does the same thing, but see, the way my situation works, I got my physical and test and everything done in Missouri. So all I need to do is pass the physical in Missouri, whereas I think if, you know, I don't have to go through Schneider's own deal. Ira says I left Snyder because I found something better for me and my family and for what I want to do with my business. Yep, everybody's different, man. There are people that have left here, like to say go to Landstar, and they do a lot better. And then there are people like me who've come over here from Landstar and do a lot better. I like the consistency and the freight base and the fact that their freight base works where I live. So I'm always getting home. I could be home now if it wasn't for my appointment time. So it just, you know, that's the thing with trucking. Whether you're a company guy or an owner or a lease op, you have to find what best suits your needs. Some guys want to be out a month at a time, and other guys don't want to be out more than 3 days at a time. Just depends on what you're looking for. But back to the Cpap thing, the more control you have over that, the better. After I did all my stuff at an outside clinic, it was later on that I got my stuff through the insurance. So like hoses, masks, were all, you know, partially paid for. That machine I showed you guys, I actually bought used. Basically what they do is if they determine someone has sleep apnea that's not a truck driver, and they take the machine and they don't use it, well, they take back the machine, or they charge the customer for it. So that's where these used machines come from. They're not really used, but they're just as good as new, but they're like half the price. That machine I just held up was $750. Mike asked, do you know if you're sick, if you could put a little bit of that Vicks in the water? I don't know. I don't recommend it because it'll line the hose, and cleaning that hose can be a pain in the butt. That's why I like the full face, because if my nose is clogged up, I can still breathe through my mouth. Mouth is super dry, but the compliance factor on the Cpap machine is you have to show 70% usage, which comes out to 4 hours a night. And on the machine it'll tell you how many hours, at least on mine, how many hours I used it. And then you can go to the website, log in, it'll tell you how good your usage is, and that's the report that goes to the DOT. So 4 hours a night isn't bad. I sleep on the average of 5 to 6 hours a night, and I feel like I've had 8 hours of sleep. Crete told me they wanted me to do 6.5 hours, says Mike. Yeah, that's probably a company policy, but the actual DOT is 4 hours a night. Just like Schneider, I think, like the DOT says if you're over a certain weight or your BMI is over a certain amount, then you have to take the test. But Snyder's requirements is like more stricter than that. That way they cover their bases. Ira says me 2 to 5 hours and I'm good to go. 2 to 4 to 5 hours, or me too, 4 to 5 hours, I'm good to go. Yeah, it's kind of amazing. When I first got on the machine, you could do 11 hours of driving and still have energy. Like, you know, you drive all day and you still feel pretty good. That definitely beats the old days of slapping yourself to stay awake, rolling your windows down at 30 below temperature. And not that I've ever done that, wink wink, but you know, I think that's why most drivers are afraid of the driver facing cameras, because we all do stupid stuff to stay awake, right? Ira says I've done that. LOL. Yep. So for me it's good music, but I can't remember the last time I was groggy while driving anywhere on anything. So now my family is wanting to go camping when I get home. Not looking forward to that, because that means I'll have a night or so without the machine, and that's going to kind of suck. I'm not looking forward to that. So, but family wants to do what they want to do, and who am I to say no, we can't do that? So, but anyways, I'm going to end this video. I don't want it to be too long. Any other questions about the Cpap machine, I will answer them right now. If you guys hook up an inverter to a car battery, maybe, yeah, but I don't know how much that'll drain the battery there. So, you know, here, if my battery gets drained, I can make a phone call, or I can just start the APU up. Ira says, have a good, safe day, man. Before I leave, I'll tell you how I got the Snorlord name. So, there was a death metal band called Vor. Out of, well, they're still around. They're out of Fayetteville, Arkansas, and we were really good friends with them. Apnea was. And so we would do gigs down there, and I would spend the night. And of course, I told you guys that sleepovers were kind of a nightmare for me. So what I tried to do is I would sleep in a chair, you know, because, you know, you're upright, your throat's not going to collapse. But of course, they still heard me snoring. So it became kind of a running joke, you know, and that's why I named the band Apnea, because most metal bands, oh, let's name a band after a disease like anthrax. Why not name it after something I have, you know? So the singer of Vor, they came out with an album called Lord of Storms, and he started a message board, and he named himself Vorlord. And then he named someone else Stormlord, and then they named me Snorlord. So it just kind of stuck. And then when I got into trucking, it became my CB handle, and it became my YouTube handle on my old channel. And so I just kind of stuck with it. That's kind of how it was known in the YouTube circles. And so that's just how it is. You know, you have Trucker Steve, and you have Steve Berger, and, you know, all these Steves that we know. And so, you know, it's a good way to stand out. And, you know, if you guys ever listen to Freewheeling on satellite, I've been on that show several times. The first time I was ever on there, I told them about the band, and they played some on the radio, and they said, well, what's your name? You know, I called in as Snorlord, you know, and they just thought that was awesome. So ever since then, they plug the band, and if I call in, they're like, oh, hey, Snorlord, what's up? You know, I'm friends with them on Facebook, you know. But that's where Snorlord comes from. So anybody who's ever heard me sleep without a machine, you'll know. So, but anyways, that's it for today, guys. Thanks for all the good info, Snorlord. Have a good night. You're welcome, Mike. It was your comment on Jeff's video that made me say, you know what, I need to do one about Cpap. See, if I do live videos, it's going to be about a subject. You know, I'm not going to sit there and just, you know, hey, let's hang out and I'll eat dinner while you guys ask me a bunch of questions. You know, not that there's anything wrong with that, but, you know, I like Jeff's approach of picking a subject and then staying with it and then doing that, because I can't answer everybody's questions about Schneider or about Cpap machines, or I'll do one about music. I'll do one about maybe how I find loads, and then I'll do one questions for rookies. If you're new out here, I can kind of give you tips on both how to do certain things physically and how to do certain things mentally. This job can be extremely stressful, and if you're not mentally prepared, it just gets worse. So everybody take it easy, and thanks for watching. Click on the bell so you know when I go live again, and you guys are awesome. Ira, best way to learn a guitar while on the road. There's a lot of great YouTube resources. That's where I would start there, Ira. And then just having a cheap, don't bring out anything expensive. Get a cheap $100 guitar that sounds decent, stays in tune, and you'll be good to go. Those guitars that they sell to Petro aren't bad. You just got to tune them. So you want to buy a tuner, or at least a pitch pipe, and then just start learning. So, but that's a different video for a different day. So, Trucker Steven PA, great live show. Like has nothing on you. Well, I don't know about that. Jeffrey likes information is way more useful than mine, especially if you're an owner operator. Periscope's going off again. Most of my Periscope people are out riding motorcycles. It's like there was a time where everybody was Periscoping about their motorcycles they were either buying or riding or both. So I'm not a motorcycle rider, so but anyways, thanks guys, take it easy, and subscribe, share, blah blah blah, the drill, man. See you guys later.